Sagorika Banerjee. I have an experience of more than 25 years in the field of education, and my core subject is English. So I understand how well we can teach in the class. Out of my 25 years of teaching in the secondary school and senior secondary schools, I have noticed there are many ways by which we can deliver our lectures, or we can make our class very well and interactive. And if we follow certain tips that are going to help us a lot. So today I am here to share some of my best teaching techniques with you all the English teachers who can apply these techniques in their classes and make their classes the best ones. So let's see how to teach English in secondary classes.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So here I have jotted down certain points by which I will explain you how to teach English in secondary classes. So let's see what are the points I have noted down. First one is stimulate debate and discussion. So if you are an English teacher, it is very much required that you stimulate the students to debate and discuss more. The more they debate, they will be able to come out with more good words. They will learn more good words, and they will be able to construct sentences. They can be able to justify their points. But how it can be done? Let's see. So the first one is encourage your students to debate. It's very much required. Give a topic to them and encourage your students in the class to have a debate session, and you can have it at least once in a week. This will help them to enhance their speaking power. Then bring up some sensational celebrity gossip or fictional characters from popular TV series. So initially they may feel a lot of a hitch while speaking out. So just begin your discussion with any of the fictional characters or some TV celebrities or movie characters, and help them to just speak out. And then comes the stray outside the established syllabus. Whenever you feel that your students are not expressing well, it's just come out from the syllabus zone and just speak to them casually. This will help. They will be able to open up with you then. Then comes the fourth point is note down the mistakes they commit, but don't rectify them at that point. Suppose you give them a topic and give them 2-3 days or a week's time to prepare for debate. And they prepare a debate and they start discussion. They have a debate session in the class. So do not try to rectify them. You observe them minutely. Give enough freedom to the students to express themselves. This is very much required. The moment you stop them, they will hesitate. They will not come out with their ideas or with their expressions. So you need to listen to them. Give them enough freedom to just speak up. And then at the end, you can give your corrections, explaining them where they have committed mistakes. This is very much helpful. If you do it at least once in a week, this will help the students to express them more clearly. Then comes the second point, that is try immersive reading habits, reading activities. This is very much required. To have a good pronunciation, you need to have a good reading practice. So develop fluency in reading. Make the class in such a way that you help the students to read. Okay, ask them to read more. We can do. There are certain points. Let me just explain. Engage your students in loud and silent reading activities. This you can do in the class. Give them a task. Ask them to read a story or part of a book and ask them to read it. These are the activities, and this while they do loud reading, just rectify their pronunciations at the end of a paragraph. Ask them to pronounce it in this way. Okay, and then give them a task of silent reading too. At the end of the silent reading, you need to ask certain questions to check their comprehension, how well they have understood that certain paragraph or the topic. Then give them the task of jotting down the difficult words and search their meanings. Develop effective writing. How can you do that? This can be done by engaging your students with creative immersion activities. Now, there are certain types of activities by which you can help them creating good stuff. Then give them the task to compose music, reenactment, or paint something out of their own imagination, any character which they have been reading in their book. So give them such type of activities. This will help a lot. Then let them work in groups. This is very much required. You need to give them this power. They can do this work in a group, and let them share their ideas on certain projects. This can be done if they are divided in the whole class is divided into groups and they are given a task to do. At the end of the session, you just ask them to share their ideas on any topics. This will help them to gel with the other students and also to understand others' views. So it is very much important, and it also helps in effective writing. Then comes include solo activities. This group, if I said group activities, that doesn't mean you only stick to the group activities. You need to give them the solo activities to understand how well a particular student has understood a particular topic. So here these types of activities can be done, like dictionary activity, where you can give them certain words and ask them to find out the meanings of those words, and give them a time, suppose 1 minute time. Ask them to search the meaning of a particular word from the dictionary. So within 1 minute. So this is a dictionary activity, individual activity, which every student enjoys. The next one is newspaper activity. If you complete a topic, like in grammar, if you have taught them verb or noun or some other topic, adjective, preposition, you give them newspaper activity, by which you can make them understand the topic very well. How this can be done? You ask them to bring the newspaper, or they provide them with the newspaper article, and ask them to find out the verbs from a particular article or preposition, and ask them to underline it and then paste it in that cutting in their notebook. This is a newspaper activity. This is also very helpful. Then comes just a minute. It's also a very good activity which you can always do in your class to enhance their speaking skill and create their imaginative power. If you give them a topic, just make chits assigning different topics and give them the topics. Ask them to prepare it. Only 5 minutes you give them to prepare for it. Any topic, any random topic. And then call each of those students. Give them only 1 minute to speak on that topic. So this activity is called as jam or just a minute activity. Very commonly used in the secondary classes. Next comes silly sentence strips. You can even give them incomplete sentences. Begin a sentence and ask the student to complete it with his own imagination, and fill up the blank with the best possible words. Also check the grammar of the sentence. This way you can enhance their effective writing even and speaking skill also. Next comes learn to speak the language. Here you need to know there are certain ways to speak the language. Ask the students to hear or watch some good English soap operas which are available in the BBC. They are being broadcasted in the BBC, and you can just ask them to hear it. You can even, as an English teacher, you can even also hear it. They upload every day one episode. It's an episode of 12 to 14 minutes. If you hear them, I am telling you, need to go to podcast, where you can hear the words, the way they pronounce, the way they use. It's a dialogue between two characters. So you tend to understand the best way of pronouncing a word. Then comes another thing. This you can do it do it for yourself. This is converse in English. So you need to speak with your students in English only. Do not entertain any Hindi sentence. Initially, in order to just break the hitch, you can entertain certain Hindi sentences, but you need to ask them to translate it in English. This will help them to develop a confidence within them, and ask them to speak in English with you, and you also should talk to them in English only. Now the next point, if I talk about, is boost writing skills in fun ways. So how to enhance the writing skills in your students? So this you can see, gain written fluency. You need to gain written fluency while enhancing their skills, writing skills, in a fun way. Make writing seem more interesting for students. You need to make their writing skill. Give them certain topics and ask them to write whatever they think about it. Just let them write, and then ask them to just check the synonyms. Give them some synonym words in the class, antonyms. You need to work on all these. Now, how to gain written fluency? This we can do by practicing. The more you practice, the more you get accustomed with the writing skill. By avoiding to rely on smartphones or computers. Yes, always ask your students not to, because nowadays, because everything is going online most of the time, students, instead of writing using their own skill, they tend to copy it down from their smartphones or computers. Just ask them to stop it, to avoid it. Then encourage their innovative writing. It's the duty of a teacher to encourage, be it wrong. Just don't lose your temper. Rectify. At least the child is able to come out with his own ideas. You need to check that. He should not copy it from anywhere else. Next comes this making writing seem interesting for students. How well can we do this? So this can be done by try collaborative projects with a modern twist. Give them some projects which have a modern twist, where they need to search net, they need to read books, they need to find out the information from various resources, and then ask them to give a modern twist. How well you can do, because it's the era of technology, digitalization is going on. Ask them to just make PPTs. You ask them to make a presentation, good presentations. Okay, in this way they can, or even they can record, audio records can be done. Then set up a blog where students can regularly publish their poetry, translations, short stories, or even memes. You can do this. This way they can be free whenever they feel like. They write some poem and they can publish it or just post it on the website. These are certain modern twists which you can give to your students, and this makes the learning method more interesting. Then come to the next point, that is the fourth point. Create a list of grammar based apps. How can we do that? So you need, as a teacher, teach the students the concepts of grammar and composition. This is the duty of a good English teacher. The concepts, the basics of grammar and composition, how a sentence is framed, how well you can express a certain sentence in English. Use your students' access to smartphones, tablet or laptop to your advantage. Take the advantage. You know that every student is having laptop or a smartphone or a tablet. Just make them use of it. But at least make them understand the use of it. So first one, teach students the concepts of grammar and composition. How can we do this? Be precise in theory. If you are teaching grammar rules, be very precise, give them the rules, do not exaggerate it, but you need to explain them clearly. And then you stress more in practice, means the moment you finish a particular topic, give them some task. They will practice it, and this will help them to understand the topic more clearly. Next comes this one. Use your students' access to a smartphone, laptop or tablet. How well we can do this? The point is, leverage the power of web-based tools. We have this access, we can use it to the best for the benefit of the students. This can be done by creating a list of best apps and games that can be used for teaching skills English. So this is the task for the teacher. You need to create a list of best apps and games that you can use it while teaching in the class. If you are not able to create, just search in the net and find out, and just share it with the students to help them build their vocabulary. Like I told you, Archers. The Archers is the podcast soap opera where the students can understand, they can hear the soap opera, it is in English. Similarly, in order to enhance the grammar, they can also go to italki app. It helps in enhancing learning more about grammar. So this you can do it on yourself and then explain it to them, or tell them, ask them to go just have a check on themselves. Then by exploring interactive platforms for learning, you as a teacher need to explore more interactive platforms for teaching English in the class. And the last point is by improving their grammar through constant practice and exposure. It is very much required, where you need to use present tense, past tense or future tense. How well, what are the communicative words which you need to use while speaking, how well you can write, means there are certain words which you cannot put it in your writing. You need to be more decent while writing. So these small tips you have to tell to your students, only then they will be able to understand it and write it more clearly. Next comes the fifth point. Maximize the potential of online tools. How can we do this? So nowadays every classroom has smart classroom. So use smart classroom technology to monitor students' performance. Okay, then encourage them to try out online learning tools, which I told you just now. Encourage the students to use those. And then comes interact with English speakers on social media platforms. This also can be used by the teachers as well as by the students. Now let us see the next point, that is build an inspirational study environment. How can we do that? Let's see. Get creative and set up a zone that encourages and motivates students. So whenever you teach in the class, your teaching should be filled with encouragement. Your teaching should be such that students get motivated. At the end of the period, they feel charged, fully charged, and next day wait for you. This sort of environment should be created by the teachers. Put in time and effort to create a great website with well-written content and audio-visual aids for online English teachers. So you need to put some time and effort to create a great website where you want that your students should give good content. You can also upload your own content, audio-visual aids. You can take the help of them, and from time to time ask the students to visit that website and go through it. Like I have created my own website where I keep on posting my own blogs, and whenever I post my blogs, I share it with my students. Just ask them to read it. So this will help them to learn more, and you are also growing in that way. Then include resources that will promote students to learn for physical teachers. So here there are how best we can do it. So you need to include certain resources that will prompt students to learn more. So for this is for physical teachers, and the previous one I told you for online classes, for online teachers. So here what we can do, you can create reading areas with a variety of material from different authors and genres and ask them to read. Keep one day in a week as a reading session in the class and just ask them to read. Or you can do one thing, you can also practice this activity on a regular basis, that is called DEAR program. Drop everything and read. DEAR, drop everything and read, which means allot one day or every day and just allot 10 or 15 minutes time in your period, or at the beginning or in the zero period you can put this every day or once a week, and ask the students to leave aside everything and just read any book, any article, anything they can read. So this will help them to enhance their reading skill and learn more words and ideas. Then comes the 7th point. Use self and peer assessment for motivation. It's very much important. How can we do this? So let's see. Help boost confidence in their abilities. So what does it do? If you use self or peer assessment, self assessment is assess, means you ask the students to assess themselves to whatever they have done, they can check it on their own. And peer assessment, just exchange their notebooks and ask them to check it. This boosts confidence in their abilities. This is very much important, and it's a sort of a very exciting activity also. Then motivate them through healthy competition. So whatever competition you execute in the class, it should be very healthy. This will motivate them and help them to learn more. Then guide them through the process with making model. Create a model and give them, then guide them with that process. So how this can be done? Here I would like to suggest that, suppose assessment, initial 2 tests you have assessed, the third test MCQ questions, you ask them to just take the test, and then you can give the answers and just ask them to check their own notebooks. This is the self assessment. Similarly, you can ask them to exchange their notebooks and have a peer assessment. So this way you guide them through the process. Then comes encourage them to look for more grammatical concepts. They need to practice more. So wherever you feel that they need to practice more, you encourage them with good sentences, give them more tasks. And mind it, if you practice it in this way, this is going to enhance your children's vocabulary. This is going to enhance their knowledge in the subject. Now, coming specifically to the topics like teaching literature or teaching grammar, while taking up the literature topics, how best you can teach in the class. So here are certain points which you can very well execute in your class. First of all, as we all know, every teacher has to prepare a lesson plan. So while taking up a literature topic, literature or grammar topic, you need to prepare a lesson plan. So this is the first point, you need to do it. So if it is a literature topic and a lengthy chapter, you need to divide the lesson into parts. Do not be in a hurry to complete the topic, means to complete the chapter within 1 day or 2 days. If the chapter is lengthy, you need to take some time and divide it appropriately so that every day you give them the maximum of it. Take each part and explain it nicely in the class so that students are able to understand each and every point which you are teaching them. They visualize it. When you are teaching it in the class, it should be such that the student gets connected to the story or to the characters of the story. Take each part and explain it nicely. and give information about the author. Before you start, you begin with the topic. If it is a prose, you need to give some information about the author, their writing style, and if it is a poem, then again about the poet. Then comes focus on difficult words. Definitely, it's very much required. Ask the students to underline the words. You tell them underline this word, okay, and then give them the meaning. In many of the cases, sometimes you can even give them the words, underline the words, and ask them to find out the meanings on their own self. They should bring dictionary, a pocket dictionary with them. This will help them to use their own brain also, their own knowledge, and they learn a lot. Focus on the difficult words. Ask them to write it down in the book itself with the pencil. Make the classroom interacting by asking questions. Also very much required. After you complete one paragraph, you can ask 2 or 1 or 3 questions from the students just to know whether they were able to understand, they were listening to you, whatever you were teaching in the class. So this becomes the entire class becomes very interactive if you practice this. And next day, before continuing the same chapter, when you start your class next day, always recapitulate by asking simple small questions about the topic which you have taught, from the portion which you have taught previous day. Okay, if you do it in this way, this will help them a lot. Mind it. Next comes teaching grammar. How best can you teach grammar in the class? My students, they get connected to me and they feel very happy when I end up with a grammar topic in the class. So I teach in this way. You can also use it. Explain the topic with a chart. Never give them any definition. Suppose if you are giving them, explaining them about verb, so do not start with defining verb. Just ask certain questions, examples, okay, and then you explain them what part of the speech it is, okay, and then explain the topic. It will be better if you give them a flow chart or a chart presentation or in a tabular form instead of giving theories on it. Modern technique says that you practice more. Okay, so give enough examples to justify a grammar rule. Even if you give them, you need to give them grammar rules, because unless and until you explain them the rule, how they will be able to understand the topic. So suppose you are teaching them direct and indirect speech or the reported speech, you need to tell them the rules, where those rules apply and how best. And that best you can do it by giving examples. So justify a definite grammar rule with n number of examples. Ask the examples from the students to make it lively. You can also ask them the sentences. Ask one student to give a direct speech sentence and ask the other student to just transform it into indirect speech. So this way the class becomes more lively. And write it down on the blackboard. Write those on the board and try to get the answers from other students. You can even give them task, 5 sentences you give them, like active voice sentences, and ask them to, after explaining the topic, ask them to change it into passive voice, and then one by one you can ask them to give the answer. Note it down, write it on the board, and then discuss wherever they have committed mistake. Finally, explain it to the entire class. This is very much important. Without explanation, how well they will understand. So it is very much required to explain the topic, to explain that particular mistake or the why it is correct. Then also you need to explain it. Do not lose your temper or shout if the students give wrong answers. This is very much required. Being an English teacher, see, this is not the mother tongue. We need to understand. Our children do not converse in English at home. So for an English teacher, he or she needs to understand this, that the child may commit and will commit a lot of mistakes. But at that very moment, even if we have taught the chapter very well, I feel that I have given a very good lecture, and at the end, if I ask a student is not able to answer me, I should not lose my temper or should not shout at him. Instead, I need to find out where the child is not able to understand. If we shout, that child will stop sharing his ideas with you. Next time he won't answer you in the class, no matter you become very strict or very lenient to him. So first of all, you do not need to lose your temper. Do not shout on the students even if they give you the wrong answer. Just listen to it. Write it on the board. If the answer is correct, encourage them by clapping. And if the answer is wrong, you just explain them the mistakes where they have committed the mistake. Rectify their mistakes without scolding them. Be a good teacher. Strict teachers are never appreciated in the class. Okay, the last one is give a task related to the topic to the students. It's very, very important. After completing a topic, you give them a task. They will do it at home and next day you discuss in the class before starting or beginning with a new topic.